Tonight is Congressman Adam Smith, ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee, that received a briefing today. I should also note that Congressman Smith has been demanding a hearing for a while now. Congressman, thank you for being here, because I know that you have been dissatisfied about what the administration has shared today. I want to begin with a very basic question. Does the Pentagon know the identities of the people being killed?
They do not. What was helpful to us was they did give us a little bit more in terms of information about who was doing the strikes. And I'm sorry, but I'm hearing myself in my own ear here. So I'm going to have to navigate through that as I'm talking to you. It's a little confusing.
I'm able to hear you fine, so I would love for you to
I
proceed.
can hear you. It's just that it's echoing back in my ear, which is,
sorry about
weird.
that.
But so they do not know the names of the individuals. What they've decided is there are 24 different of these narco-terrorist groups, which they have not been clear on exactly who they are. But if you are part of that group or affiliated with that group, they now consider you to be a legitimate target. And mostly what that means is you wind up on a boat with some of the drugs that are coming from these groups. But to your point, the president has made himself judge, jury, and executioner on this, that basically dealing in the drug trade is now an offense whereby you can be summarily executed. And that is an enormous expansion of presidential power that even after today's brief, they have not really fully explained to us exactly what the plan is or what the justification legally is for doing it.
Does it matter if it's about fentanyl or a different drug, or does this come down to the basic question of whether there has even been the due process that is required before the government can do this?
Second point matters more than the first. I mean, obviously it matters. Fentanyl has really been a massively deadly drug. I mean, cocaine has always been a problem in America. Fentanyl has killed more people than any other illegal drug that we've dealt with. And that's why it's another important point that you made. And by the way, it's 100% clear, none of these boats had any fentanyl on it. It's pretty much all cocaine.
How is that clear for you, Congressman? I mean, the boats have been blown up. How do you know that?
It's clear because a lot of intel, even before this started, told us that this is not where fentanyl comes from. No fentanyl comes out of Venezuela or Colombia or Peru. It's cocaine and marijuana primarily. So we know that there's no fentanyl coming from that part of the world. This is targeting cocaine. And the other question is, so we're targeting them in international waters because we don't want to hit people on their sovereign territory, at least not yet. We'll see what the president decides to do about that in the future. But so they are going to adjust, and the cocaine is going to come in from different places. So how long can we continue to do this, and is it really having an impact on the amount of drugs that are coming into America while it is greatly expanding presidential power and killing a lot of people in what most of the rest of the world would refer to as an extrajudicial killing, which basically means you don't have any process, you're not under the law of war, you simply decide to kill somebody without a legal justification.
Congressman, there have been those who have almost taunted Democrats or anyone saying this is not legal by saying, what would you have them do? Wait until they come to shore, bring the drugs, have them distributed all across the nation, lead to many deaths, and then we go through the whole rigmarole of due process, to which the Constitution probably says, it
does. Look, I mean, the reason you do that, a big part of the reason you do that is you want to make sure that you actually have the right person. I mean, that's the reason you go through the due process, and particularly if you're killing somebody. Because there's no fixing that. So you want to make sure that you are, that's why due process exists, so that innocent people don't get swept up in criminal prosecution, or in this case, execution. So look, drugs are a major problem in the United States of America.
They are.
But aside from the legal arguments, if you just want to say, well, screw the Constitution, screw the law, we got to do what we got to do to stop the drug trade. We've been trying to do this for decades. And what we've learned is there's always some other place where it's going to pop up. It is as much of a demand problem as it is a supply problem. And if you want to get after it, you have to figure out how to stop the demand. There's so much money to be made from this. You blow up 24 cartels, another dozen, 2 dozen will pop up in 6 months to a year because the demand is there. So will this even work to truly reduce the amount of drug deaths in the United States of America, it seems unlikely, because how long can we keep doing this? We are, and I classified, I'm not going to get into the details here, a lot of assets, a lot of money is going into doing this. And is it really going to make that difference on what is legitimately a major problem in America? I don't think this is the right way to go about dealing with it.
Sounds like a lot of information still needs to come in for Congress to be enlightened fully on those very points. I want to turn to a different matter, because CNN is learning that the president apparently caught a number of advisors by surprise when he announced the United States will resume nuclear testing. A senior military official or officer told lawmakers today that he's not reading anything into that statement. Are you?
Well, you got to read something into it. The President of the United States says we're going to start testing nuclear weapons again. That's a pretty significant statement. Now, President Trump is unusual. He says a lot of things that he doesn't really mean, but a lot of times we think he doesn't and he does. So yeah, we should be worried about it. Now, I don't think President Trump knows what it means exactly to test a nuclear weapon in this sense. Are we really going to start detonating them underground in the United States of America again? I really don't think so. And I also want to assure your listeners, we test nuclear weapons without setting them off. And this goes way over my head from a scientific standpoint. But we know how to look at the nuclear material, how to run computer tests and other things to make sure that they work. What Trump seemed to be saying is we're going to make sure that we have an adequate nuclear deterrent to deal with Russia and China.
Okay.
And what I want to tell you is we can do that without testing more nuclear weapons. So I'm not sure what point President Trump was making. I don't think anybody is right now. So we'll see what he says in the days and weeks ahead.
We know what he just said. We've got some breaking news from the president on the shutdown. He is now calling on Senate Republicans, this is through Truth Social, I believe, to initiate the nuclear option and get rid of the filibuster to reopen the government. What is your reaction?
Yeah, well, to a certain extent, I think that makes sense, because the approach that the Republicans took on this is in order to pass their budget, they needed Democratic votes. And the reason the filibuster exists is to force bipartisan conversation. You got to have Democratic votes, you got to have Republican votes, so you got to bring them both together, negotiate, and come up with something they'll vote for. The Republicans took a rather sort of unique Trumpian approach to this, which is, yes, we need your votes, but you have to vote for our bill and we're not going to negotiate with you. So that kind of undermines the concept behind this. The Democrats have a very legitimate concern. Millions of people within a couple of days are going to start to lose their health insurance. Millions more are going to see their health insurance go up dramatically in cost. We wanted that addressed. And the Republicans said, no, you just have to vote for our budget. So I guess if they're going to jam through an incredibly extremist partisan Republican budget, then they ought to do it with just Republican votes. Now, the better option would be to actually negotiate with Democrats. I've said this many times. The president's willing to negotiate with Vladimir Putin and Hamas, but he's not willing to negotiate with Democrats to protect health care for the American people. That would be the better response.
We'll see what ultimately happens. Congressman Adam Smith, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Up next, the Andrew formerly known as Prince. King Charles stripping his own brother of his royal titles and exile.